Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. Of course, we saw the results of the match today. Pakistan's defeat, unfortunately, the performance overall has been disappointing. We want to, of course, move on. There'll be other matches, there'll be other games as far as Pakistan is concerned. Of course, our team has a record of being certainly a team that has won matches, numerous matches, unexpected matches, unexpected wins, and of course at this time we must encourage our team and stand in solidarity with and hope for a better performance next time. I want to also move on and talk about the Prime Minister's upcoming visit to China at the invitation of the Chinese President Xi Jinping. What it means for our bilateral relationships and more than that, what it means for the BRI and of course the future of CPEC and how it translates into a gain for us economically and of course our bilateral relationship in being the focus as far as CPEC is concerned, as far as our economic interests are concerned, as far as realizing those economic interests and bringing investment home, all of those today on Perspective. I have with me Dr. Munawar Mahar, who is an IR expert. Thank you for being with us today. We'll also have other guests, but Dr. Munawar, as far as this visit particularly is concerned, how do you look at it? And of course, in the background of our bilateral relationship, like I said with China, it's also helped us recently, as unprecedentedly, and it's always stood by us. All of those things are there, but particularly with regard to the CPEC.
MAHRUKH, thank you very much for having me in your show. In order to gain deeper and profound insights into the bilateral relations between China and Pakistan in this upcoming visit that is very of a great significant value, we need to put it into a proper, broader global perspective to understand it. As far as this global geopolitical landscape is concerned, there's an unfolding catastrophe in Gaza. Genocide is going on. Then there's a CPEC and Belt and Road Initiative is emerging as a great success story for China, its foreign policy and its geo-economic endeavors. So this upcoming visit is likely to further deepen Pak-China relations. Pak-China relations are always, has been very stable, and if you ask me Mahar, what is the greatest and crowning achievement of one of the achievements of Pakistan's foreign policy, I would answer, MAHRUKH, it is stable Pak-China relations, Pak-China relations and Pak-China relations. Now if you see the current trajectory, Pak-China trade is on the rise. It stood at $10 billion US in 2021, and with the 18% increase, it stands at $12 billion US. China has emerged as the largest investor in Pakistan. It contributes 23% of foreign direct investment in Pakistan. It's a leading investor, largest trading partner of Pakistan. Now this is the context in which this visit is coming up, because in international relations, events and happenings and occurrences cannot be analyzed in isolation. We need to put them into a broader perspective.
Let me, on that note, let me go to Shakil Ahmed Rame, who's also a senior analyst. Thank you for being with us. Shakil Saab, I don't know if you've been hearing what Dr. Munawar has been talking about, but he says that the context of the visit, the timing of it, with particularly with relation to international events taking place all over the world, the context has to be seen. Would you agree with that? Would that have a bearing on this meeting, on this visit? How do you look at it?
Look, when we have to talk about the Pakistan-China relationship, we need to be very confident and clear. Our relationship is time-tested, so we don't need to talk more about it. Whatever happened in the world, either it's a Ukraine, Russia, or any other crisis, so we are friends and we will remain the friend. The thing which we need to focus is how we can benefit from this friendship when China is offering to world, so that its market, its economic investments, and its enhanced trade linkages with the world, how we can benefit from there. China has opened for us a floodgate of opportunities, but we are unable to exploit that. As today there was a headline from some newspaper, so some bureaucrat of Pakistan, and now he is a minister, interim minister, he was saying, so Pakistan could not benefit from the CPEC. That is the brutal truth. But the question is, the same bureaucrats and the same people who were there, they were at the helm of the job. Why they did not bring those benefit to the Pakistan at that time? This is our dilemma. We don't work on the system. When we get retired, we start to blame the system. But when we are in the system, we are not bringing the required changes. This is a problem with us. If we look at this time, if our Prime Minister is going there, so our Prime Minister go there. So they have a good relationship, meetings, everything. But at the end of the day, we are unable to bring the required reforms. Either you talk about any government from the 2013 onward, we are unable to bring the required reform in the system to benefit from the opportunities. And second thing, this is a BRI forum. So not only our Prime Minister, I think there will be more than 100 head of states and the governments will be visiting China. So maybe we will not be able to get a separate meeting. If we get a separate meeting, that would be really good. But our interim government may not make some big, you can say, the success there, because it's an interim government. It has to end in a few months. But we should not put our relationship, tag our relationship to this visit, because our relation is beyond such visits. What is required to benefit is bring the required reforms in our system and get rid of these bureaucrats and the retired bureaucrats who want to maintain the status quo just for to make sure that they are getting a good position. If we continue with that status quo, then we will not be able to benefit.
Fair enough. Let me come back to you. Dr. Munawar, do you agree with this? You think that the bureaucratic hurdles that Shakil Ramesab is talking about, we need to address those issues, which have been a cause of some, as acrimony, I think is a strong word, but, some concern to the Chinese.
Actually, I totally agree with Ramesab. Actually, Pakistan is driven by colonial software. We are a post-colonial state. Our bureaucracy, its mindset is colonial. Our bureaucracy is not known for efficiency. It's not known for innovation. It's not known for any creativity. They are notorious for red tapeism. That system is so slow that your projects, most of them get delayed. Then China divert those projects, and China or Asian Development or World Bank, they divert those projects to Bangladesh or some other country. Why? Because of the delays in approval, in the implementation. Why? Because bureaucratic red tapeism. We need serious reforms in bureaucracy to make it more efficient, to align it with the geo-economic needs of the
But
Pakistan.
Dr. Munawar, we have for a long time wanted, there have been governments who've tried to perhaps make those positive changes as far as, to deal with the red tapeism, as you've said. We haven't been successful. Overall, do you think that those changes, of course, we are now waiting for the elections, like, Ramesab also said, this is a caretaker government, so its scope is limited, its purview is limited, its ambit is limited. How much of change can we really expect here?
No, I agree with you that this is an interim government. Its mandate is limited, and it's here for a short period of time. But we are talking in terms of long term, that never ever in Pakistan any serious bureaucratic reforms have been conducted in bureaucracy. There have been reforms in Pakistan, but they have been cosmetic. They have been short term, and they have left bureaucracy more politicized than ever before. Our bureaucracy suffers from the crisis of competence, crisis of efficiency, crisis of public trust. They have become tribes.
Okay.
There's the institutional tribalization in Pakistan, that in bureaucracy there are tough wars, they are highly politicized, they are aligned with different political parties, and they are not known for implementing the projects very efficiently and very fast. It's an executive arm of government, it's an implementing arm. We need to reform it.
Fair enough. We also have with us Dr. Hassan Daud Butt, who's former PD, CPEC. Thank you for joining us. Dr. Hassan, we're talking about bureaucratic hurdles, we're talking about the need for reforms in that area, which, successfully we haven't been able to undertake, successive governments. What are some of the reasons, in your opinion, that we've failed there?
You see, there are several reasons, but importantly, when you have a top-down approach and when you are focused as a nation, and also the leadership at all tiers, from the government to the bureaucracy and to other facets of your governance structure. When they have a top-down approach, I think better things happen. Say, for example, if you look at 2015 to 2018 tenure, during those times, since the government was totally focused and all stakeholders amongst the government were focused, therefore, during that time, several projects of importance and significance were attracted, a lot of investment in the energy sector, some projects in G2G in government were also done. So I think what you need is a more focused and synergized approach and perhaps a whole of government approach. When you have that, you just can't blame the bureaucracy. You need to have the overall system up and running, which can actually attract investment, because you need a certain structure. Like, for instance, we have SIFC now, which is focused towards investment attraction. So if you have similar structure, and also in the religious terms, because our religion also dictates and tells us that whatever you promise, you should be ready to fulfill those. So in terms of your investment structure and the incentives that you offer therein, those incentives, our system, the overall system should be ready to deliver those. And when you do not, then, certain headwinds are created because of some of the factors that my colleagues have already mentioned. But I think for me, the silver lining is that when you take a collective approach, more synergized approach, better things can happen, and I think this will happen.
What about this visit particularly? Do you think it's going to make a significant difference or no?
I think let's look at. This visit has two basic deliverables. One is on the state level, because Pakistan enjoys great relationship with China, and in order to strengthen that, we should be looking for similar visits and engagements at the top tier, at the top level, not just with the government of China, but also the business leadership of China. And if you do that, and if there's a regular practice of engaging with them, and such platforms like the BRI Forum gives you an advantage to engage with them. I have attended both the forums that were held in 2017 and 19, and this is the third one. What I remember, and I vividly remember, is that even Pakistan and CPEC was mentioned in both the forum as a good case study, and it was reflected in speeches of some of their leaders, and also reflected by other leaders of other head of the state, and in the round tables that were held in the sidelines. Pakistan was repeatedly mentioned, and CPEC was shown as perhaps the center, took the center stage in terms of, and I was there also, and I remember in the round table that I attended, I was able to project CPEC. So I think overall, as a nation, and especially when we are engaging with foreigners and talking about investment, we should have a better narrative and a better pitch to place. And I think this time the government will do that. I think SIFC will do that. I think despite the fact that this will be a majorly engaged, because in such an event, most of the things are already listed and you cannot move out of the regular engagement pattern. But I think this time Pakistan and the leadership of Pakistan will engage with some business leaders on the sideline. And also, when you have the whole state going for a visit, the investors and the government, they look at Pakistan at large, not a particular government or any particular, especially for the Chinese, they don't look at Pakistan with the lens of a particular political.
On that note, let me come to you. I'm going to go to Shakil Ahmed Rame Saab. Shakil Saab, what Dr. Hassan is saying is pertinent in the sense, I think that he says that China as a whole, if we look at this visit particularly, they're going to look at Pakistan in context of our relationship with China, not necessarily keeping in mind the current caretaker government in place, more so I think the perspective of our relationship with China, the long-standing relationship, and of course the fact that our policy with regard to China doesn't significantly change. Am I correct? So in that sense, perhaps it doesn't matter so much who and what government it is at this point. Is that true?
That's what I said earlier in my talk. When I said so, our relationship beyond any doubt. So we don't need to talk about much about this, because We talk about or discuss something which maybe have some problems or something like that, but China-Pakistan relationship is always strong. It does
So
not
it doesn't
depend on any
matter so
political
much
party.
as far as, my point is that whichever government is in place, our policy with regard to China isn't going to significantly shift.
No, not at all. Because our all political elite, our political parties, are other actors of our system. So they have the unanimity and they have a consensus on that. The friendship with China, the brotherhood with China is of vital importance for our country and it will remain a vital. So there's no question at all. So what
And by
I'm
and
talking
large,
about,
all governments agree on the importance of CPEC, on the importance of BRI also. Of course, there have been issues with execution, but there's no doubt that the importance of it with regard to our economy is something that's acknowledged by all political parties. Isn't that true?
that's what not only economy, it's a diplomatic, security, and a diplomacy, everything. So our relationship are very strong and vital for each other. History tells us whenever there was a need emerged from any country, so the both countries stood shoulder to shoulder with each other. So no matter what is the situation. So we don't need to talk about this thing because our relationship is beyond these discussions. So real point to discuss is how we can convert the benefit in this relationship for the economic opportunities. Look, if in the past we have immensely benefited for the security cooperation. You can mention the field, we can talk about the heavy complex, aeronautical complex, you can talk about the F-17 Thunder, you can talk about number of things. We have the excellent experience. Now the time is for the economic. That is a real thing. And Hassan was talking about the success story. And he was right, because during the first phase, the cooperation was G to G, government to government. And there was a big projects. The involvement of the private sector was limited. If there was a private sector from China, from our side, it was the government. So there was no problem for the execution. But second phase, which we are talking about for the many years, it is all about the business to business. For business to business cooperation, we need to be very honest. Our system is very complicated.
As far as business to business cooperation is concerned, which you are talking about, those hitches, those, we talk about one window operations, we talk about all of those things, but their, efficacy has been in question for a while. You yourself have also mentioned that.
That's what I'm saying. The B2B cooperation, our system is highly complicated, overlapping. It is you can say it's an anti-business environment here in Pakistan. We have created SIFC, that is the ray of the hope that maybe we are trying to change. But my fear is what we did with the CPEC authority, maybe we will be repeating the same mistake with SIFC. Why? Because we are stuffing it with the bureaucracy. You have to avoid those hurdles, but you are bringing out those hurdles there. So that will create the problem for you in the future. If you really want to change, I just give you one example, MAHRUKH, from China. When China started from the Shenyang, so they made few very fundamental changes, even for their constitution. Look, for example, number one, the small village of Shenzhen, it was giving the status of the capital of the province. Later on, it was given the status of the province, so it can make the policy and change the policies and implement the policy according to the requirement. These are the changes required. And that province was directly reported to the central committee of the party, not to other departments or ministries or anything else. They were reporting to them. That was a top-down approach but implementation at the ground level. But what is happening here? If CPEC authority was created, so our bureaucracy and other actors of the government, even the political parties, they did not allow that CPEC authority to work. The same I am fearing, the same can happen to the SIFC. Because of bringing all those actors in SIFC, which created a problem in the form of the CPEC authority. Then we again have a problem. For that purpose, one more thing I want to suggest here. So Pakistan need to get rid of this retired culture. Every person, any person from the bureaucracy, from the establishment, from anywhere, they get retired, they are being stuffed in any other organization. That is creating problem because they don't have any stake to deliver on there. They have their innings, they have played it. But now in extra time, they are enjoying the perks. You need the people who can understand the dynamics and lead the change. One thing, and second thing.
I want to come to this. I want to take Dr. Munawar on this also. But isn't this true that there have been a host of experts dealing with the CPEC issue also? If we talk about authorities, we talk about bodies, there have been more than a couple. Isn't that true?
Are you asking me?
Ji.
You see, my focus at this point of time is the visit. And when you look at the overall environment, whether it's an enabling environment or whether there are headwinds and there are constraints, for that, CPEC and perhaps any other initiative around BRI does not matter. Because we have to improve nationally to attract investment, whether it's coming from China or elsewhere. So that is a different aspect. What benefits us in our relationship with China is a strong political and diplomatic relationship, and perhaps for us to do business with China and benefit from the economy of China and be part of their supply chain is easier vis-a-vis any other country with which we do business with. So now that we are looking at the second phase, as Shakil has also mentioned, and perhaps you also referred, this phase is definitely going to be more difficult because here it will not be government, and of course it will be business, and business from both sides are of varying variety and shades. There will be some good ones and there will be some bad practices also, malpractices. But in order to address that, we should have a strong mechanism which can help us create joint ventures. We should build the capacity of our business chambers which are there and institutions and organizations, and also encourage more joint ventures. And I think at this time, and I engage with Chinese on a daily basis, I think Chinese still look at Pakistan as one of their destinations for investment. They still look at Pakistan as a favored destination for investment and also doing business. They are now, after 10 years of CPEC and BRI, they now understand how do we work. We understand better, and in our engagement earlier when I was in the initial days in CPEC and later in KP when I was heading the Board of Investment, there are cultural changes also. We, like the Chinese say, working on socialism with Chinese characteristics. I think now we have to improve our characteristics and work eventually with CPEC with Pakistani characteristics and perhaps build our capacity to do things. I mean, for example, if there was no CPEC, should we not improve our economy? Should our businesses and way of work should not be improved? It should be. I mean, it goes without saying. But CPEC has given us an opportunity in which, with lesser effort, with more synergy, we can get better dividend for our natural endowment, for our businesses environment. Because remember, we are 250 million. People say 245 million. I say 250 million population. Each year, we send 1.3 to 1.5 million students and people into the job market. We have to create opportunities for them to get jobs and work as entrepreneurs also if they want.
Let me come back to you, Dr. Hassan. Dr. Munawar, if you've been listening to what Dr. Hassan is saying, let's leave the bureaucratic hurdles aside. Let's talk about this conference particularly. There's hope that there will be meetings on the sidelines also. Do you think there can be tangible gains?
Yes, actually one thing that I would like to highlight through your platform is that we have missed to mention a very important upcoming development. The biggest and the greatest takeaway that is likely to come out of this visit as far as the bilateral relations between China and Pakistan are concerned is the likelihood of an agreement, ML1. It is worth $6 billion. And this ML1 agreement with China is key to modernize and revitalize Pakistan railways. And PM is likely to sign this agreement with the Chinese counterpart. And as far as this conference is concerned, actually it is aimed at evaluation of
And what will this agreement entail in your opinion?
It entails the revitalization of Pakistan Railway, modernization of Pakistan Railway, ML1. It aimed at this thing.
Undertaken by the Chinese?
By the Chinese under the CPEC. Okay. It will add a new dimension to CPEC. That is a flagship program of Chinese. CPEC, the success of CPEC is very key to success of BRI. And this conference is being held in connection with the BRI. And China is going to showcase BRI as a success story, reflected by the 20% increase in the trade between China and the BRI countries. In 2013, Mahrukh, the trade between China and BRI countries, it stood at $1 trillion US. Now it stands at over 2 trillion US dollars. Now this is an exceptional, phenomenal increase in the trade between China and the BRI countries, despite all the controversies and limitations and issues. And let me come to the point of Rami Saab. If you will ask me, what is the greatest challenge to CPEC in Pakistan? I would respond, it is political instability and turmoil. Okay. You know, political stability and political continuity, policy continuity is key. It provides a placenta for any project, for any economic endeavor, for any progress and development to grow and to thrive. If you look at the past few years of Pakistan, they have been replete with the political instability and uncertainty. This is where we need to work on. This is we need political stability in our country.
For this too, you're saying that the ramifications
Mahrukh,
of that political...
can I make a mention of something?
Ji, Dr. Hassan, what? Please.
Can you
go
hear
ahead.
me? You know, I think going forward and during this 2 days conference that the Prime Minister will be there, I think first of all he would like to highlight some of the achievements that we have made as a country, as a nation in the past 10 years, working in CPEC and working in BRI. I think he would like to mention that exports to China has increased about 35%. He would like to mention that our export of, agri products have increased, our export of sesame to China has increased, and I think our export of rice has also increased significantly. I think he would like to mention that thanks to CPEC and thanks to the support of Chinese government, we have been able to now have close to 6,000 megawatt of energy. We have now have about 500 and more kilometers of motorways and highways. We have now about 800 kilometers of transmission line. We have, thanks to China and the support through CPEC and BRI, we've been able to attract optical fiber in Pakistan. Our Gwadar is developing, and I think at the end he would invite the leadership of China to visit Pakistan and perhaps at the inauguration of the Gwadar airport. And why I'm saying this is that this will be a great reflection on part of Pakistan that we, although we have our political challenges, although we have our disputes as far as politics and some of the other areas of areas of discussion that we do, but we are a democracy and we respect that. And if in anything and that unites us besides cricket perhaps, and not a good day for cricket today, but anything that unites us at this point of time is perhaps CPEC also, because politically, militarily, and all the stakeholders, even the establishment and academia and intelligentsia, one thing that they have,
like I said, there is agreement, across the board on the importance of it, on moving. But Dr. Hassan, as far as connectivity is concerned, we've seen, we talk about our economic issues, we talk about those are, of prime concern to Pakistan at this time. Sri Lanka, as I understand, has also, engaged China, and there has been a help regarding debt restructuring, for example. Do you think we can perhaps have that, China in that area also extend their support, their help?
You see, China has always been there when we've asked for support. In the past about 1 year, when we had challenges even with IMF and also the current account deficit, China was there to support us. They came in various financial models, from extending the return of loans in simpler way. I'm stating in a very simpler way for your audience. Also giving support in FATF. And these are major support as far as our financial decision making or our capacity to make financial decisions are concerned. So when you talk of BRI and CPEC, I think, especially in the project that Dr. Saab mentioned, the ML1, I am not sure whether there will be a contract or a agreement this time, because I'm sure the Chinese will also look for a permanent government, or at least a government that is selected after the election, and then sign a mega project, because a project like ML1 is not for 1 year. It has a tenure for at least 7 to 10 years. So therefore, they would like to see whether this government, which is an interim government with, of course, other stakeholder also, whether they are sure about this ML1, because it's a national project like our nuclear
No, but Dr. Hassan, even as far as MI1 is concerned, there were certain reservations that were, and then the overall cost
There
was
were no
brought down
reservations.
to 6.1 billion.
Let me
So,
clarify
Ji.
this. When ML1 was started 10 years, it has been 10 years from when it started to now. Several things have changed, including the dollar rate and the dollar parity that we have. So the cost of doing projects, which was in 2013, of cost of doing any project, even a simpler project, has increased by 40%. So therefore, the cost of this, but what has not changed and what has improved actually is the scope of doing that project, where instead of going for the entire change of the whole system, what they are working on is looking at sections which are prone to accidents, where the line is not as good as it should be for running a commercial railway, and perhaps increasing the capacity of doing trade with a better speed, because now our average speed is around 45 kilometers per hour. I'm talking about passenger. Cargo is even less. So moving it to more than 100 kilometers. So this is significant change in terms of trade, business, tourism. So therefore, when you look at such project, you look at it in a wholesome manner. And then, of course, when you're laying down tracks also in far-flung area, you need security also. And it would require security because there are challenges around security, which I'm sure we can address by a collective approach.
Security, that's what I want to, let me come back to you. I'm going to go to Shakil Ahmed Rame Saab. Ji, Shakil Saab, security concerns which Dr. Hassan is talking about are extremely, important when we look at Balochistan, we look at the overall security situation there and the challenges that they have posed for CPEC. Also our as far as relationship with China, all of that, as far as CPEC is concerned, do we need to go back, redress those, and then, we can perhaps move towards a more successful CPEC, where we can reap the results we want?
I think before coming to your question, I just want to say two things on Hassan Daud points. Number one, so ML1 is a classical example of inefficiency of bureaucracy and the political elite of Pakistan. So from the 10 years, we could not produce a quality feasibility study. Then very lately, we produce a feasibility study. That's what I was mentioning. So we need to be efficient. I'm not using the strong word. I'm just using very lenient word. Second, Hassan said we need to create 1.4 million jobs every year because youth is coming forward. That's my point. When we will stop hiring the retired people? That is a real problem because those retired people never come on the merit. They kill the merit to just occupy the seats. So we need to come out of those fantasies and need to try to face the real problem and bring the real changes so we can benefit. That is my point. Second, you are talking about the security. Look, security is again I may say, so first phase security is different from the second phase of security. Because second phase, you have to deal with the B2B, business to business, and the work will be scattered. Maybe we need entirely a new framework for security to secure the number. Because the people will be scattered, investments will be scattered, you have to take care of those investments. For example, if Chinese investor is coming in Pakistan and build a 1 or 2 factory, he is hiring around about 5,000, 10,000 people to work in the factory. So you need a profile of those 5,000 and 10,000 people so that you can make a better security arrangements. And the people are coming from the China when they're investing. So also need a better security arrangements. That's why I always maintain, maybe we need a new framework of security where we don't treat business group as a client, make them the partner in the design, in the implementation. And third thing, which is very important, which we are not discussing, bring in the police. Police will be the leading force to implement the second phase security in Pakistan. Why? Because police has the mandate to work at the grassroots level. They have the experience to work at the grassroots level. Even if we train the army, but they don't have the mandate according to the constitution to work with a civilian at the grassroots level. It's the police. So we have to bring a new security framework to enhance the security and implement it accordingly. For that purpose, we have to build also the capacity of the police, and the police need a substantial investment to enhance their capacity. That is, I think, if we really want to bring a positive change for the security, that we have to be very clear on that. In the first phase, Army did a wonderful job because that was a different thing. They put in the efforts and they made sure that we complete the first phase. But for the second phase, we need to bring in the police in, and we should assign the leading role to the police so they can play a better role for the security of the CPEC.
Like you also mentioned earlier that the SIFC at this time can have a major role to play in this regard, no?
Yes, they can play, but my point is again, MAHRUKH, if you are handing over that platform to the bureaucracy and the politician, then rest assured the politics will be there, the delays will be there, when there the bureaucratic hurdle, red tape, everything would be there. So forget about the one window or one roof. I gave you the example of China, how they started. Even I give you one more example. The Shenzhen, it was the Shenzhen first time China gave the permission for the contractual employment. In a socialist country, it does not happen. They have the employment on different system. But that is a corporate culture to bring in the contractual employment. Even China allowed that because you have to bring in the required changes. Second thing, which is very important, which we are not talking about, Chinese state-owned enterprises played a leading role to define their success. What we are doing, we're saying just sell the product, sell all the state-owned enterprises. We need state-owned enterprises, but we have to run them according to economic rationale, not the political or the crony rationals, because we're not running them like that. Tell me one thing. Today I was just looking at the tweet of a leading businessman, Mia Manchaw. He was saying we should privatize all these things. They are making the laws. But tell me, I want to ask him why he wants to buy a loss-making entity. Is that there can be turned into profit-making? Yes, it can bring. It can be a milking cow. But unfortunately, we are running these organizations as a political organization. These are two things. If government want to benefit, we can really benefit from here.
Fair enough, fair enough. Let me go to Dr. Munawar here. Dr. Munawar, I think it's hard to disagree with what Shakil Rameh Saab is talking about. Of course, those changes can be made, but overall, the kind of changes we want, when we talk about our structural changes also, we talk about bureaucratic hurdles, all of those changes really, are going to, need across the board agreement. They're going to need perhaps, governments that are very strong and they can actually make those changes strong enough to deal with any political fallout, all of that. Do you see that happening?
Actually, change or any long-term reforms, policy consistency, they all flow from political stability and continuity in Pakistan. And you were talking of security. Security and political stability, they both are intertwined. And we cannot talk of security without factoring in the situation in Afghanistan because of Balochistan. That is a very key link in CPEC borders Afghanistan. And without peace in Afghanistan, there can be no security in Balochistan. And another area that can provide a bigger boost to CPEC is to deepen the people-to-people contact. That is an area that remains overshadowed by our exclusive focus on geo-economy and security relations between Pakistan and China. Because foreign policy operates at two levels, at macro level and at the micro level. At the micro level lies public, and public provides legitimacy to any project or to any bilateral relations. That is a missing link in Pak-China relations. And as our PM is likely to visit China, he needs to engage China on different issues, on the issues that involve people, like climate science, like transfer of green technology that Pakistan needs, because Pakistan is one of the most vulnerable countries to the climate change. And China is a leader in green technology. China can provide us with the solar, with the wind, with the other forms of the renewable energy technology, and EVs, electric vehicles. So these are the areas that we need to engage China with. And we need to increase people-to-people contact. China can provide more scholarships to Pakistani students, because it is an area that remains neglected since the 51, the establishment of China and Pakistan's relations.
Fair enough. We're also running out of time. I'm going to go to Dr. Hassan and for closing comment. Dr. Hassan, overall, as far as this visit particularly is concerned, your quick comments on what you expect from it, with the kind of mandate, of course, that the caretaker government has at this time.
I think I would not expect anything less what we expect in any government's higher official visit to China. We expect that we are better prepared. We prepare our pitch well. We go with the commitment to BRI. We go with the commitment to One China policy. We go our commitment to improving the economic state of Pakistan and the trade relationship between two great countries. We go with a commitment that people-to-people interaction, as my colleague just referred to, will improve, and this should not be one-sided. It should be from both sides, not just we going to China for learning. They also have immense value to what we offer in terms of, say, both culture and also in terms of stepping stone into an Islamic economic state, because they are now expanding their business and work with Middle East, and we have great relationship. And I think we should also focus on third-party participation in CPEC, how we can attract more investment from, say, countries like Turkey, Saudi Arabia, and other brotherly countries from Middle East and partners of BRI. We should, lastly, because it's a BRI forum, pitch ourselves as a country where investment can come. If investment can go to Afghanistan as we speak in the condition that they are in, it can automatically flow to Pakistan. We need to educate our youth in terms of building their capacity. Naturally, the government has its task, but private sector also has its task. We should also prepare our private sector to be ready for the next phase of the CPEC, as Shakil mentioned, so that when the time comes, when we are set, when the elections happen, and when there is acceleration in the speed of work in terms of CPEC, especially industrialization and, populating our special economic zone, our private sector is ready for joint ventures. Because when you do joint ventures with strong partners, you improve also, and then, of course,
fair enough. Thank you so much, Dr. Hassan. Thank you for your very valuable input. Dr. Munawwar Mahar, thank you for joining us today. Shakil Ahmed Ramez Saab, thank you for your time and your very valuable input. Of course, as far as this visit of the Prime Minister is concerned, there is, of course, we are hopeful for a lot of tangible returns like we discussed today. We expect there to be people-to-people contact. We expect there to be meetings that will yield that contact. And of course, as far as our relationship with China is concerned, as far as CPEC overall is concerned, there is across-the-board agreement that it is extremely important for us as far as our structural issues are concerned, our bureaucratic hurdles are concerned, all of those issues, Pakistan remains committed to addressing them to reap as much benefit as possible from an initiative like CPEC. Thank you so much for joining us today.